Hi, in this video, I will demonstrate how to use if in Go programming language. So as you can see in this example, I have declared a variable called marks and initialized it with a value. And suppose I want to check and print if the marks are registered or not. So in this case, what I'm doing is I'm using the if condition to check if the marks is greater than 0, and only if that is true, then I'm printing the statement saying your marks are registered. So let's run and see. So it printed your marks are registered. And if I change, let's say if I don't initialize it, then the default value will be 0. In this case, it should not print anything. Like I say, it did not. And suppose if you want to build a little more complex if block, for example, you want to print the grade based on the marks available. So in this case, what I'm doing is I have if else block saying that if the marks is less than 35, I'm printing fail. And if the mark is greater than less than 60, then I'm just printing pass. And if the marks is less than 75, which means it is between 60 and 75, then I'm printing pass with first class. And then else, which is greater than 75, greater than or equals to 75, I'm saying pass with distinction. So I have initialized it with 90, so I'm expecting it to say pass with distinction. And as we expected, it is printing correctly. If I change it to 75 or 74 in this to satisfy this case, it should say pass with first class. Okay, so now let's say for some reason I want to separate this if else block in such a way that there are two categories. One, if there is mark greater than 35, I want to do some logic, separate logic. And if I want to do something else in the else case. So for this, what you can do is you can do something called nested if. Ideally, it is like this. You have if and else, and then you have a bunch of other if else logic within the existing if or else, right? So in this case, I'm saying if marks is greater than 35, then I'm actually checking further, maybe again on the marks or some other variable. So in this case, just again on marks. So if marks is greater than 35, and then I'm actually seeing if marks is less than 60, I'm printing the full name and pass. Likewise, I build the rest of the if else block within this block. So this function is nested if. Let's run and see. So there is a error. Okay, forgot to lock this one, comment this one. Okay, so I printed the full name. In this case, just F and L, first name and last name, and then I'm printing the message pass with first class. So this can also be simplified in some cases if you're running this type of logic on multiple variables and different variables. You can actually use logical operators to satisfy the same thing, but still use the same single if else block, without having to use the nested. I mean. So for example, so there are two variables, age and height. And if I want to print you are eligible only if your age is more than 18 and your height is more than 150. else I want to print sorry, you're not eligible. So in this case, what's happening is basically I'm using ampersand, which is a logical AND operator. So what it does is only if both these conditions are satisfied, only then it will become a true overall, and only then it will print. It will execute this block. Else it will print the block following here under else. So let's give it a run and see. As you can see, the variables are declared 20 and 160, and these two conditions meet. And for example, if I change this to 140, only one of the condition is met, and it will not, since it is logical AND, it will not result in a true. So it is sorry, you are not eligible. So there are other logical operators, which is logical OR and logical NOT. And some of the examples are, suppose you want to say A equals to B or C equals to D. So that means if either one of these conditions are true, then you want to execute the block. And logical AND, the one that we just saw above, and logical NOT is like you want to negate the decision, negate the output based on the condition that you have. Suppose if you want to, if A equals to B, and if you don't want to execute if A equals to B, then you are negating that. Or if you have a complex logic with the logical AND, and you want to negate the whole result, you can do this something like this as well. So just few points with the way we use if block in Go is, in Go, the parentheses, the curly parentheses are mandatory even if it is one line. Even if the block is one line, the curly parentheses around the block is mandatory. And around the condition in the if block, the brackets are optional. So if you want, you can add it for clarity. For example, I can do something like this. If that makes, if that adds to any the clarity of the code readability, or otherwise it is optional. So you can leave it. And the first curly braces of the block should be along with the if or else block. So what it means is, so this becomes invalid. So the curly braces, the beginning curly braces should be with the corresponding if or else block. And same thing here. This is invalid too. And also the next block should be adjacent to the ending of the previous block. So what that means is something like this. So if I try to break it, then it's again syntax error. So this next following block in the if-else ladder should be along with in the same line as the ending curly braces of the previous block. So with these restrictions, but otherwise the if-else logic is similar to in many other programming languages. Hope this helps. Thank you.